All right, so who's out there? What's going on, eh? Chill day, chill day. Let's see who's out there in the world of YouTube. Oh, one viewer. Could be a bot. Who knows? Figured everything's dumping, everything's pumping. How about we jump on live? So monthly distribution closed inside level 3, and we've hit nearly all of the BTC shorts apart from one really big one. So now it's a case of, do we get a little bit of relief or do we not? We definitely an Elmo day. What's going on? All that looks juicy. Nice little pump back up there on the hourly. Hey, how you doing? It's a interesting day to be in the markets, that's for sure. Just running some new reports now to see what comes up. Oopsie. What's going on? Okay. Just typing away. Lots of stuff going on the other screens that you can't see right now. Rebuilding all of these weird time frames. It's quite funny. They're really sitting or just teasing that high time frame break level, 74466.6, I think it is. Just avoiding hitting that, which is, I don't know if that means they're going to go up and take these shorts, which is very possible, or whether they're just teasing and they're going to go hit that break level, which is also very possible. Come on, data. Okay, that's that. So I went out to try and find mojitos again last night, and still a problem in New Zealand. No mojitos on any menus. No one seems to have mint. Really good reason just to grow your own mint. Good evening. Oh, you got a little. No, I didn't have mint. I'm actually going to start growing mint, or get someone to grow me mint. Do something. Drinking. Yeah. drinking game word has been very bearish or very bearish. Yeah, it was so easy to get a mojito in Australia. Seems to be where all the mint's gone. It was also really easy to get a hangover in Australia. It lasted for a while. It's a good one. Anyway. So what does everyone think's going on? Place your bets. You tell me what you think is happening. Here we go. Let's see. Yeah, so what are the chances that the 1 month break gets hit and it turns into an origin? Well, chances are pretty good. Thing is, it's not just a 1 month break either. It's it'll be a break level for a lot of things, which somewhere in here. See if I can find it. There's the right column. 0.4. Okay, I was slightly off. Okay, so it's a break level for a lot of things. It's a break level for all of this. And so there's about 71 pieces of structure dependent on that, with the tops of the ranges between 108 and 197. So quite a bit going on there. Message retracted. I missed that. What was that? So look, they've all been, every single hold level attributed to that break level has been entered. And these ones have not been completed. So just roughly looking at that, you've sort of got, well, actually, why roughly? It's the beautiful thing about this stuff. You just do this. Target, target, target. Okay, so that's what's in question right now. So you've got targets from 101 through to 116, which are all in question because of that break level. And if it gets hit, they're gone. They'll all be off the table. And well, there is nothing really left after that. Nothing much anyway. So what else is there? What other break levels do we have? Big important break levels. Let's see. Oops. Probably should filter that a little bit more. We want break levels not hit. Don't know if we have. Yeah, there's no other active important break levels. So it will drop down into some new ranges. No entries, no breaks. see. Break level. All right, so next break level basically becomes around a 69 area. 69, 67. Heaps of structure reliant on 58. 52, pretty big. Lots going on there. 38. And so on. Wow. That's huge. 159 ranges, all based on a 24k break level. Clearly that's important. Okay, what else should we look at? Let's go with unentered. We want minimum obligation longs that have not been entered yet. AKA, where is our next sort of cluster of support? So, price. Right, there you go. Yep. Bingo. Yeah, everything 100k plus is more or less off the table if the 1 month gets tagged and doesn't become an origin level. That's exactly how that works. But like I say, it's not just a 1 month, and which is kind of where it gets a little bit confusing, because there will be bigger timeframes that share that same. They've also, that's how things can go below a break level, come back up. They can even sometimes have a few candles above or below a break level and come back up and still recapture it, because it's actually something bigger than what you might be looking at. So the way to figure that out is to look at whatever has that same break level. So if we basically just go longs, and then look for break level 74466.4, got it right. Like so. Then sort this by the time frame. So I want time frame in days, largest to smallest. So 131 days. So some of these are actually weekly, some of these are monthlies. Like that would be that's a monthly, so that's roughly 3 months. And it shares that same break level. So you could actually have a deviation on that break level for 2 months below it on the monthly and come back up before the close of the 3 month and not actually lose that break level. So it's but then the targets would differ depending on which one. So if you looked at something like that, which is probably a monthly, and actually that's already complete. So should get rid of the ones that aren't complete or are complete. So there we go. What's the smallest? 42 days. Show, and that takes it back to 108. So you can spend more than a month below, depending on when it actually closes, because the ones like that one you'd want to keep a bit of an eye on. So this is a 110-day close, which is in about 2 days. So if we are, you'd have to, so we need to find out whether we're actually inside that hold or whether we've already closed a candle inside that hold. So 110 days at 94. So if we look at this somewhere, where are we? Which one is this? This one. It's a weekly. Don't want that. Okay. 110 days. No, don't want that one either. Or that one. Too many charts. This will do. This will do. Oh, computer freezing. Hurry up. Oh, what are we looking at? BTC. Wrong screen entirely. This screen. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to have a look at BTC's 110-day structure, which okay, so we've not closed inside this yet, and we haven't hit the break. So in a couple of days' time, and this is where you might see a rally, we're going to close below this hold, which find the right level. It's all kind of manual, this stuff. So I'm just reading this from up here, top corner. And so that was 94,277.2. So that's our level there. Okay, so assuming this closes inside the hold, but doesn't hit the break level, it's pretty close, then the next candle may, or X amount of days, may come back up here to try and actually test that hold to see if it's reversed. So that's and then when it hits that, it could find that to be resistance and then not continue out of the hold and reject off that, come back down, then break the break level. So that's a possibility. And that closes in a couple of days. Then everything else is quite a way after that, apart from that 44-day. So that closes in a couple of days as well, but it's probably already closed at least once. Let's see. Yeah. So this is what I'm talking about. Like, you're inside the hold, you close inside the hold, and then what ends up happening is you end up coming back up to test the hold. So if you take a refined entry, and granted, I'm talking to 9 people on the stream who do not even have access to this data, which is coming soon, eventually, when the website gets finished and everything gets set up. But if you close inside this hold, which is what this candle did 42 days ago, I should say, because this closes in another couple of days. What you wanted to do is you wanted to get some kind of refined entry lower down in here, and then after it closes inside the hold, you adjust your TP. You don't try to go for the full move anymore, because which is roughly that. I don't know. So not quite exact, but you don't target up here anymore. What you do is target here, which is the retest of the hold, which is closed inside of, and then you escape your trade, hopefully in profit, because you took some kind of greedy entry, and yeah, that's that. So the dashboard that we're or have built, it is actually built. It's operational. I saw a cool chart from it earlier today, but it's there's lots of other bits and pieces being worked on, but wonder if I can find that picture. See if I can give you a sneak peek. Save. There we go. Whoops. Come on. There you go. That's out of the dashboard. So this is it's a 16-week time frame. You just can't even see it on TradingView, and that's one of those big BTC shorts that we actually completed today. So it's is there backtesting data to support how often a hold is retested after it is being closed inside of? Yeah, so it's more or less a almost 100% certainty as long as the break level hasn't been hit. And if the break level has been hit, but it hasn't closed under the break level or above, then it's pretty much going to happen as well. And it's really only if the candle closes under or over the break level that it's gone. There is also sometimes what happens with range trends, which can be a little bit irritating. You can get a range trend that comes through, and the price will close inside the hold, create a range trend, open on the wrong side of the range trend, and then propel in the wrong direction through the hold, and therefore never revisit the actual hold itself. So you got to watch out for range trends. They can be your best and worst enemies when you form one inside of a hold. So that's like, well, this is an example, formed a range trend, but it's all about the wick, this wick. So your range trend would have been across here. Oh, bugs me not doing this properly. I'll do it properly. This is why we need a dashboard, because TradingView is just not designed to do this stuff. So 9. So that's 1. And 80600.5. Okay. So this created a range trend, was able to test, but if this candle had no wick on the bottom of it, what can happen is it can open on the wrong side of the range trend and then just reject straight off that and then go through the break. So it's, whether it comes back to retest the hold often comes down to the size of the wick, whether there is a range trend getting created, whether it has closed below the break level or not, or hit the break level or not. So those are kind of your variables. And so you just take the trade whichever way. So this hold is now a reverse hold, which is actually creating resistance, whereas if this candle had got back up above here, would have bounced off that and keep traveling up. So yeah, it's probably something you can find where one is down. So this one would be, this still ended up playing out, but this is an example of where the range trend can be your enemy. So yeah, get in there. No, you can't do it. All right, I'm just going to do this the lazy way. Let's just say the trend is roughly there. Whatever. So it creates the range trend, opens on the top side of it because of this lack of wick, bounces off it, comes up here, hits the break level. Luckily, closes under the break level, goes back down. Trade would have played out anyway. But that's an example of how a range trend formed inside of a hold level can cause the move to continue in the wrong direction. And you flip that round and say, there's a good fib trade. Comes in, goes up. No issues. This is also a range trade before it was even a fib trade. So it was that move in there, created off this, back down into this, and minimum obligation bounce. There to there. Right. And all that on the 44D. Who would ever think? Right. So poking through all of this, still got the hope for some longs. So as long as we don't hit the break level, we've got definitely some timeframes there that can go up. And shorts, we pretty much completed every single thing except one. I think it was, let's see. Break. That monster. So, yeah. This monster has a minimum obligation target of 56. 547. Yeah, it's holding on for dear life. Yeah, I don't think this will. I don't think this will play out straight away. I think it just makes so much more sense for them to go and wipe out some of those shorts. People feeling so bearish, you might as well go for a ride and take out some shorts. And we've got the longs to do it, even if they only go up to 101 or something. I haven't gone through every single one of those longs, but that 110-day one, which closes in a couple of days, that can get into the 90s. So that's get into the 90s even if it's rejecting. So it's still do you usually add more at a break level to get out slightly in profit, break even? Yeah, so I don't actually enter at the hold level on high time frame stuff. You've just got to keep watching it to see if it goes down and down and down and down. And you got to look at how long is there to go on the candle, because it can bounce in and then go out, then bounce in and then go out, and then eventually close inside or close outside. If it closes outside, it's almost certain that it's going to go to the target. If it closes inside, it's when it becomes quite questionable. What you want to do is you want to refine the hold levels and find the lowest areas inside of them, and then just basically be really greedy and just wait for them to come down to that. And if it ends up running off to the target beforehand, then you just chalk that one down to a trade you didn't take. But if it goes down and enters at like a really, really low level inside the hold, then you can be pretty happy about it. And then if it ends up stuck inside the hold, you should be able to get out about low time frames. Well, it still applies. It depends where you are. Like, there will be a 15-minute entry inside a 4-hour hold. So you could look at something. Let's find something, Update to TradingView. You've got to put a name in for a layout now, which is annoying. More work to have to do. Let's find something, So slow. Okay. So you got a 4-hour hold here. And the wick didn't stop exactly here. It went up slightly inside. So it's also a range one, actually. Let's not complicate things. Two ways you can take this trade. You can work off anything above the 78 level, anything up in here, coming down to 77. If it closes under the 77, then you could look to take anything in this bracket as a retest and then bring it down to the 76,358, which is kind of what it's playing with now. And then if it closes under that, then you could look to take it back down through these levels. So that's one way you can take that trade. But if you were to try to get a higher leverage entry on this, you'd start with that and then dial down your timeframes and try to look for just untested levels. And you've got this, but it's been tested here, and there's nothing else in there that you could look at. So it's definitely not on the 1 hour. Come down and have a look at the 15-minute. And you got a 15-minute level here. The wick's been touched. You've got one here. Wick's been touched. So there's probably nothing in there you'd look at either. So at this stage, you're sort of finding the path to probably you would just take this one at the entry, but I'm just going to put a line here because you can't look at the future. So where were we? 15-minute. Yeah. So nothing really in there. So we want to look at no. Okay, so let's go 5-minute. Nah, so 5-minute levels have been tested. Really everything. Try 3. Yeah. So at this point, you're kind of going, well, there is really nothing much up inside here for that candle to go to, other than just the plain old 4-hour entry. What's this? Yeah. And even the 1-minute entry is kind of just below. You got this little 1-minute here, but it's just below the 4-hour entry. So yeah, so sometimes it'll be like that, and you'll just take the 4-hour entry, and that will be so laggy. Okay, come on. Oh, don't scroll too far. Right. And so that would mean taking this, which is 78,312, and taking your first TP at the 77 level, and then 76, and then 76, 75, blah blah blah. Right, so that would be. Do you consider the wick of a hold being tested? Yeah, I would consider it being tested. You sort of got to base it on how bearish is the market. Like, this is a very bearish market, so if the wick's being touched, you might as well consider that being tested. If it's quite a bullish market, like the bullish market would be prices moving up and the hold level is on the backside here, then you might not, and you'd look at, say, the bodies. But yeah, I would definitely, in a bearish market, consider wick as a test, because sometimes they do just touch the wick and then dump. Okay, so you could try this one up here. Let's just see whether we got. We went a bit higher in that one, so let's see what we've got inside here. So you may choose to enter some just on the body, just so you have a trade, but you really want to be lower risk if you're entering on the body. Don't enter your whole position, your whole risk on that. Okay, so see this one quite clear, has a completely untested 1 hour level inside the 4 hour. So wick, body, whatever, let's just put on the wick, put another line on the body. Okay, and then we'll go 15-minute. And the body, you've sort of got that just under there, which it could be, but we won't touch that. Normally you'd look for full engulfments. That is technically a hold candle. It's been engulfed by these two, but we'll skip it for now. See if we've got anything better. And another one kind of the same there. Wouldn't bother with this. Sort of being tested here, and it's lower price than the body, so it's 5-minute. Try 3. It's all kind of the same. These are technically hold levels, but they're not full engulfments. And try the 1. Oh, is that a cheeky little 1 minute up there? Might be. A couple of them, actually. So you got a couple of cheeky little 1 minutes. So just chuck some lines on those. Let's put them on the wicks. Okay. Let's see. Did we get all of those? Where are we? Okay, so that's the layering of the entries. See, there's quite a big difference there, even just between the 4 hour and the 1 hour. And oh yeah, so we got not quite the 1 minutes, but we got everything up to the 15. Didn't quite tap the ones. Down it goes. So that's, yeah, even if you're dealing with intraday stuff, getting an entry up here when it closes inside the hold would allow you to take some profit off the table here where it actually tried to find support. And, at that point, at least you've made something out of your trade. You could set your stop loss to break even. And then if you got the continuation, you got the continuation. But that's the name of the game. And then it breaks this hold sitting here, retests it to the top. So it flips this one, closes inside, and then retests the top, and then dumps. So basically reverses the hold. So same thing would apply. Like you take this greedy entry up here, you take a bit of profit here, it runs down to your TP. It would make sense to TP into this hold because it could just come back up from there and move back up again. So you'd make that maybe your final TP. And it ends up closing inside the hold, which now means that this can become resistance and then continue down. But if you were to long this hold, what you would then be looking at is to get rid of all that. You want to try and find your greedy entry. So it's just the same thing in reverse. Let's go down, see we have a 1 hour entry. Nope. Do have a 1 hour origin. It's the only time you can ever really go backwards because this line should always be moving forwards, but origins you can go backwards. So we'll just put an origin on there. Oh, there you go. That's quite nice. That's very clean, very tidy. Let's put a 15-minute here. And inside there. Yeah, you've got this. I'm just going to put on the wick and then see if we can find a 3-minute or something inside there. Tempting. No. Let's try 1 minute. Sometimes it will end up being just these tiny little levels like maybe this one. So we'll just mark that. And that was an origin down there. See what happens now. Back to that 4 hour. Okay. So you got your greedy entry inside this hold. You took some profit when it closed inside just to be safe. It never hit your stop loss. It kept going down. You took some profit when you hit this hold. And you got, what entry did you get inside that hold? You got the 15-minute. So you got the 15-minute entry. Dip slightly below it. You got that. Didn't quite get the 1 minute again. Didn't quite get the 1 minute up here. And then it closed inside the hold. So you take some profit when it revisits the hold. And you set your stop loss to entry or BE or whatever. And you get stopped out. And that would be your intraday leverage trading on your 4 hour chart. Between that one and finding your greedy entries and taking your greedy entries so that you can actually get out of the trade if it ends up closing inside and not lose. And so then all that stuff just applies to every time frame really. It's just there's not going to be that many refined levels inside a 5-minute candle. Look how far back we have to go to find where the support is for this thing. It's in here. Yeah. 4-hour origin level. Protecting the break level. So you got 27 minutes for this thing to engulf. If this can engulf this candle in 27 minutes, then it can start to create a range off that 4-hour origin. And if not, then it's just more of the same, really. Just not weak enough. Sorry, not strong enough. Let's see. Bounce, don't engulf, keep going down. Find support, bounce, don't engulf, keep going down. It's best chance it's had in a while. Sol's actually doing quite well. I think it's, yeah. So it had a range trend, a trend, and 2 origins to bounce off on the daily. So it's gonna want to try and get back up here. Which in the bigger picture just means running into the weekly support, weekly resistance, I should say. So it's not, and that's the monthly bounce. So when the trend shifted today, we came down and hit that, which is just sort of why you're getting this strength sort of coming back into Sol. It's but it's still under the break level, so it's really just in a wedge like that. It's above the range level. I suppose that's kind of positive. It has this untested breakdown here, so there's always going to be a magnet that's just going to try and pull this back to that line. And the bigger you look, really, the more you can find that kind of stuff. I think it's like the totals. Yeah. 6-month totals, they're pushing through prior trends. And until it sees 2.16, it has not retested the 6-month break level. So hard closed on the Jan 25 to June 25 candle. And rejecting, coming down. Until it sees that, it's really not bullish. After that, then it's kind of completed some of that bigger stuff, and it's maybe then you'll get to see a bit of a relief rally, but it's not too much in this. The whole thing was kind of propelled off this reverse hold in here. So that's the support level. And if that break level retest bounces, then that'll be your that'll be the time that it takes a go at all those shorts. Right. What's going on? Discord's a bit quiet. Don't know if that's everyone in shock or it's moments like this I kind of wish I was still in the IA Discord because there's probably a whole bunch of coping going on. It would just be kind of funny to laugh at it. Sounds mean, but will you ever short at reverse holds? So a reverse long hold. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Particularly if it's a high time frame one, because you'll see the lower time frame just start to break down at that level. So you don't need to take the short on the high time frame, you just take it on the low, which will mean a tighter stop loss and earlier TPs, but you can definitely short it. You just sort of want to get some kind of reasonable confirmation. Like new chart. Blah too. It's kind of just a level, so you can short a trend, you can short a reverse level, you can short anything that's resistance really. So if we look at, say, BTC, and we'll look at this 3 month. So this went up a bit higher, and just mark out that. So there was our reverse level there. And our 3 month candle. And our 3 month candle opened here. So if we now went down to say like a daily, so that's kind of where the daily went up and grabbed the liquidity above the 3 month level. You could already see before too, like this is what's I refer to as polarity. Before the candle actually closes, you can already see the level is acting as resistance. So it's when you see this kind of stuff happening prior to a close, what this is a close and then a sweep of liquidity, and then beyond that point, you'd be going, okay, well, this is going down. And then your first short would sort of be, this hold in here. And your target would be the 3 month break, which hasn't actually hit yet, but you'd be looking for it to hit this, which is pretty close. It's real close. Yeah. So you could, just based on polarity, you could technically open that short. And then that's that sweep. And so all these daily candles, they don't mean anything because it's a 3 month level. So if it's going to go up there and spend, it can spend what, 2 months, 29 days up there. Doesn't mean anything. It's the fact that it has to spend 3 months up there really to show that level is actually not just been swept or positions built. So, and then if you really wanted to be sure, you'd be taking it down here on the daily, so which would be this candle. And when you saw that next daily close, that dump, that's when you'd chuck your range level on and Yeah, okay, well, I'm definitely going to take it to 82. My higher time frame bias is that we're coming down to here. My lower time frame within that is created a range that's at least going to go to 82, and you can sort of see how it bounces, tries to hold the level 3, wicks through, hits the level 4, goes up, but the higher time frame is just pushing down. So that's yep. So how do you know? Well, before the level even closes, it's resistance. Resistance, liquidity grab. If you're really cautious, you enter there, you target there, and take your first TP there. So that's your. And if you're not that cautious, or you just believe, yeah, okay, this is going to tank because I've seen it all along here, then you can enter anywhere along here. So there aren't really too many ways that you can refine a reverse level, but like it's fair to say it's not going to go beyond that, because you're not going to break out of your daily structure if you're going to keep going down. It's going to. So you could look to enter at the highest break level that's available. You could look to enter on an origin, something like here. It's pretty fair. So there'd be a range trend that gets created amongst all this mess. So it'd be the first yellow to yellow, so it's like this one. So you could look to enter when it loses that. Be another way of doing it. So there to there, goes up over the top, comes down, closes below, enter up here. That would be another one. You'd possibly change your TP slightly if you did that. So if you're going to lose a range trend, you'd want to look for an untested hold level, which would be that one. So you might take your first TP here. Put it there. That'd be your first TP. But you would have already seen that get created before that. So actually, no, you wouldn't. Take your first TP there, goes back up, then that gets created. So maybe just re-enter. Good morning. Well, maybe enter at the 1618, supposedly original target. Yeah, but if it closes inside the break, it's probably not going to get there. Like, sorry, if it closes inside the hold, it's probably not going to get there. So that's don't know if it. Let's see. Nah, see, it wouldn't have got there. Normally, it'll be the body of the whole candle. Sometimes it'll just tap it and dump. Other times it'll sweep up and grab a bit of liquidity above before coming down. But it's not very common for it to then close inside a hold, go up and hit a target, and then reject and then break all the way down. So it probably wouldn't get up to that line. So it's a lot of it is about how the range trend gets created as well. Because what you're getting really is a bounce between these two. And if the body of this candle had closed outside of the hold, sometimes they come back in and they hit the range trend and then they bounce up and they hit this topside hold. But when it closes inside, then yeah, your first resistance can be this. That's and so now it's got to get back up over that level if it actually wants to continue higher. So if you're refining all your longs and shorts, one of the important things is which ones are you inside the hold and which ones are you not inside the hold. So, like if you look at shorts at the moment, all these shorts, and even if we include all the ones where we have hit break levels, the first thing you want to do is look at ones that are entered. Oops, wrong way. Don't drink and trade. And you want to look at ones that haven't completed. And as you can see, most of them have hit the break levels. There's only one. There's literally that one big 56k short is the only short that has not hit a break level. But it doesn't mean that we have not come back into the range or into that hold. So the next step is let's sort these by the entry price. Entry price. Okay. So entry price largest to smallest. So the next thing you want to look at is you go, okay, well, what prices here are above? And if we then go filter by, because any that are below the current price, we are inside the hold, if that makes sense. So if we just go filter by greater than whatever the current price is, so 7677, right? It's that same one. That's all there is. So every other short that exists right now is a short that we are already inside the hold of. And what's that? James posted in IA Discord that Sol has yet to really cook, and he was amazed with rebound in on-chain data. Yeah. Ugh. Has nothing to do with price. None of it has anything to do with price. But okay. Oh, that triggers me. Did everyone see that thing on the market cap on the video today? It's Sol market cap. This one. Okay, so this is Sol's bull market, right? So looks like BTC. Goes up, goes down, goes up, consolidates, goes up, comes down. So looks like it's been through the same cycle. The thing is it doesn't reflect in price because they just keep printing it. They just keep on, validators just keep on getting huge amounts of emissions, which they can then sell to treasury companies or on market or whatever. So it just doesn't represent in price, right? So that's the, yeah. It melts worse than fiat. There is actually some vote that they were talking about, which was going to cut the emissions, and it got axed once, and I think it's getting retabled again this year. And if they do, if they do cut the emissions on this, then that'll stop this problem, or it'll at least reduce it. If you look at the same thing on ETH, which is effectively just ETH is a shitcoin, right? And no one uses ETH and blah blah blah. If you look at market cap on ETH, it didn't really create much of a higher high from previous cycle. And so market cap and price are both very much in line, and ETH has a mechanism for um, uh, inflation or deflation. So the more people that use it, the more it will actually deflate or burn, and the more people don't use it, the more it just is inflationary. So, like based on its mechanism, it was pretty much just the same. Same sort of high as the previous cycle, etc. Uh, and it's not something, ETH is what it is. People don't really use it. You look at well, I should say big money uses it, but they don't do a lot of transactions, so it doesn't equate to a lot of money for ETH. Um, they just do few large transactions. So then you look at something like Sol, which based on market cap is way better, but based because of emissions, nah. And this has probably still got more downside to come. So, I would be looking for this level here at about 51.22, or that minimum obligation at 48.88. I wouldn't really consider looking at the sell pressure actually stopping on Sol until we sort of hit these kind of levels. And yeah, why would you? No different than over here. So had to go down before we go up. So here we had the luxury of this one. So we haven't hit this 38 level yet, so that's still to come. We had the luxury of this break level. If we look at this one, we might stop at the origin. The break level is roughly the same as the target. So yeah, it just is. I don't get that, eh? The very first accountant I ever met in my life when I set up my very first company was, he said to me, he goes, one day you're going to have to pay taxes. And he says, don't worry about it because it means you're making money. So, yeah, guess you could choose not to make money. Then you don't have to pay taxes. Funny. Yop. Oh well. That's we'll see what Sol does. Right. It's BTC. BTC's moving back up again. Sol's moving back up again. Hmm. It looks like it's going to give it a shot. Four minutes. So 4 minutes to get above that. 3 minutes. 50 seconds. When it closes, it'll create an in-range origin right here. So it's really be a good idea to get above that. And I need to redraw my trends. Oops. Oh, that was easy. And there's the trends. Let's see what we're looking. It's not very convincing. Just bouncing off origins and interior trends, and it's going to create resistance. And more resistance. And some kind of support, but yeah, not looking very convincing. At least it's moving a bit though. It's a wee bit of volume. So I imagine people are probably opening longs. Yep. So new liquidity. Yeah. So people are chasing the pump. Opening longs on BTC. Guess they better hope that it doesn't go down and sweep all that. $50. It's going to close inside the hold level or below the hold level. See what happens. Cool. So got an engulfment. Didn't engulf the wick. Can't create a range. Create an in-range origin. So resistance. Created a range trend. Opened under the range trend. So resistance. Opened under the hold level. So resistance. It's not very convincing. It's not kind of how price typically breaks out to the upside by doing this kind of stuff. So now you got to wait basically 8 hours to see if it can first get a candle over the top of this range trend, and then, you know, ideally above the origin, and then the next one to hard close it, and then you got another, you got another in range origin up there. So it's probably 8 hours before this thing can really confirm any form of move to the upside out of here. Anything in that within that 8 hours could basically just be fake. And yeah, not very convincing. Daily's just hanging around. 1 hour had a little range. Could have taken a very small scalp there if you've been watching. So that's just entry, exit. So you could keep an eye on the 1 hour, see if it gets a hard close above that 102. And if it does, it's going to try to come up to the 104 and so on, but not a lot of confluence beyond that. There's the 104 lines up pretty well with that 1 hour hold, body of that 1 hour hold, so that could be something there. Might push its way up there and then pull back down on the 4 hour before the 4 hour close. Yep. Maybe push through there and then come back. Or just hit and reject. What's this up to? It's above the break level. The thing you got to watch about stuff like this is you've got this one candle above the break level with another break level just above it, and you got 1, 2, 3, 4 candles in this range. So whatever this range is, it's bigger than 15-minute, which is kind of what we're looking at it on. So you've sort of got to try to figure out what the range really is. So the range is a 30-minute range, and so you got your break level here. We are above it, but we actually need this 30-minute close above that break level to actually get out of that break level versus the 15-minute close that you might think looking at it from here. So you can get a 15-minute close up here and you can still end up pulling back down because it's actually a 30-minute level. So yeah. Yeah, I sometimes take those smaller trades, just like those 1 hour ones, etc. Yeah, kind of couch trading really. Just small dollar value stuff, nothing big. Yeah, yeah. Always what's a trade I would take? I would have taken that 30-minute. Would have taken this to this. That would have been a reasonable little scalp. I wouldn't have taken that one. Just wicks too long. It took 2 candles to get below that wick. So, yeah, don't like that. Just shows distribution is struggling. There's nothing to be done here until it closes, and when it does close, you got that range trend right there. So if it hard closes and comes back down, maybe long up. I wouldn't short the range trend because it's already had that first touch there. What else is there? It'd be worth taking there. Not much. Sometimes these, like, you get a range, you get a break level, and then maybe below it you have another range like this one, and you get a deviation above the break level, but you don't get a proper hard close. So then when it comes back below the break level, you short there. That's another one that's quite common because that's the liquidity grab. So normally you'll get a bigger short. Same thing here. So you got that level and that level. That's your liquidity grab. It comes back below it. Here you could short, or you could wait for the retest over here and short. That would have just been a short of the range trend as well. So same reason to take the trade, or 2 reasons really to take the same trade. So that's uh, 1 hour BTC range. Yeah, wouldn't have taken anything there yet. But if it returned into here, long, and if it gets a proper hard close up in here, then could long. But you got too much stuff in the way. The range trend coming down there. It would want to come here, but yeah, normal trend, prior broken trend, range trend, everything's in the way of it getting there. So probably wouldn't take that. And also hard close of that origin level across there. So it's been broken, so it might just retest that and then come back down. So not really any trades up here because it's just like longing into resistance. But if it pulled back, maybe. And that never engulfed on the 4 hour, so just not very good price action really. Well, not very convincing price action is probably what I should say. It'll be interesting to see if they close under here tomorrow. Or whether it engulfs the prior day. Let's see. So you got pretty good confluence there with the top of the range at 89. Retest of all of these broken levels, which hasn't happened yet, and that 85. Range trend, FVG 81. So, maybe New York kicks in and they do that, good old pump to the upside to liquidate some shorts, close above that 79,385 level, create a new daily range, and then work its way up through the various levels, at least to sort of like that level 3, which has some confluence, and then maybe reject off there and then come back down again. So that's definitely possible. New York sessions are generally where the bulk of the liquidations will happen. So you just half the time you just get Asia and London just have very non-committal price action, and they just bounce around and create a bunch of liquidity, and they get people thinking long, thinking short, opening positions, and then New York comes in and just takes it all. That's typically the way the markets seem to move. The old saying of Hong Kong and London bake the cake, and New York comes along and eats it is pretty much the norm. I think New York's basically just been on a we hate crypto drive for a while now, where it just opens and dumps. That's the daily. So if you look at hourlies, and just look around 2:30 ish. There you go. New York algos. Boom, 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 boom. What's this over here? Midnight, 1, 2, bit of sideways. Previous one. Yeah, right here. So yeah, they've been on a bit of a we hate crypto spree for a while now. So that would have brought in a lot of shorts, and we've now hit those longs as well. So, well, sorry, we've now hit those shorts. Like there really is only that one really big one left, and it's quite big and it's quite new. So 2 days since triggering. The other ones took nearly a month to play out. So, and they were smaller time frames. So, yeah. Good night, Australia. Man, it was hot in Australia. We weren't even in the hottest part of it, and we were having like 38-degree days, which was just nuts. So, interesting thing about this particular short too is the bottom of the wick on the hold candle, I think it is. Bottom of the wick on the hold candle is the break level of all of the major longs. So it's it's gonna be really interesting to see what that does. Even if it doesn't complete, even if it just goes to its original its original low, it could break all the longs. So, yep. But yeah, my vote, just looking at this structurally, hold level has been tested. So if we look across here, hold level tested, hold level tested, hold level tested. Got an origin up here. Then what? Breaks, I think. Yeah. Another origin here. It would be really easy to just pump out of that range. I just got to get above the range trend, which starts from the top of it, close the candle up here, and then just break through the breaks, origins, trends. So sweeping up to 80k from this structure is pretty easy. And there's definitely, you look at the, so there are people chasing, but there's a lot of people opening shorts, getting bearish. Pretty easy to send that up here. And having completed those other three really big shorts, there's not that much downwards pressure now. Odds of 190 sold. Let's have a look. Let's find it. Sold. Right. Sold data. So first we'll check to see if we have any outstanding upside ranges. So we do. Get rid of the ones that have had the breaks hit. They might still be relevant, but we'll get rid of them anyway. And look at the longs. So let's check this to sort by targets. Largest to smallest. Okay, here we go. So Sol, 149 to 373, still got open longs. Which ones are we outside of the hold of? These ones. So kind of just on that one right now. We've got a lot of time, so 200 and something odd days. These are very big. Like a lot of these are very big time frame. So could we go to 159? Yep. 150. Yep. 156. Yep. That little group right there is, we're outside of the hold. We haven't hit the targets yet. They're quite new, so 31st of the 1st, we entered those. I mean, even these ones like 174, 192. We entered that on the 4th of the 11th. It's 189 days, so it hasn't closed inside the hold yet. Can't have. Actually, yes, it could have. No. 189 days, 6 months. No. Yeah. So that's still got 77 days to get back over 158, and then it could hit the 190s. This one, the probability of this hitting is just stupidly high. It's like 99.5%. And that's the one that haunts my dreams. It's a range, it's the only range that has not completed. The only range of its particular type. And it is still in the range. And the opening bracket is still in the range. The opening bracket is this bracket, which is 227 to 362. Now it's currently below the opening bracket. So when the candle closes at some point, if it goes to retest 227, then it ends up meeting the minimal obligation of 190. And even if it doesn't get to 190, it's got 498 days to get over 120. So it's just it's the only range that's not completed of its type. Everything else has. So I would those are your chances, really. You've got a lot of stuff to the 150s. Yeah, technically you could get to 373. Some of these ranges like these in the 190s, even if they break, they might go back to actually retest the 190s because 190 is the hold. So it could come back up like at the start of the video when we just showed how ranges close inside holds and then they go back and they test the entry of the hold. So, if that was the case, 233, if every single range in here breaks, 233 is actually still a capable high. So that's yeah. Don't know if that answers your question, but that's your chances. On-chain data. Yeah. I'm pretty convinced we see 190. I just don't know whether we see it. Excuse me. I don't know whether we see it this cycle or after a bottom, because those timeframes are really big, and that's the catch. What makes it high probability? It's the structure. So it's got a break level that you can almost not get to because it's just too far down. It's when it was created and closed, it completely engulfed the prior range. So it was like it was created by the range being completely blasted through, and so the momentum involved in that range is high. There's 178 or 179 ranges out of 2,500 that were completed like that, and yeah, all bar that one have played out. So it's just like a massive swing in momentum. It means that the levels that created it were just so polarized. It was like when everyone suddenly decided that $30 is a great time to buy, and 2 months later the price is 150. That's the kind of momentum. So how that looks on paper is basically one candle just explodes straight through every single range level, and then hard closes over the top of it, and then when it retraces back into it, it's like retracing into an area where so many people missed out that the chances of them buying to push the price back up is really high. So that's not that you can chart it on TradingView. Have you ever tried to put in 634 days? not applicable. Someone just posted in the Discord, I'm waiting on my STRC payment and I'm a dumper that shit. Yes, I'll still get it. So today we don't really have a heck of a lot. So these are your native closes at the top here. So, 1 day, 3 day, 11 day, 33. Sorry, non-native. And then these are the kind of alternate timelines. So it's just a 1 and a 3. So it's pretty close to a prime day, really, at the moment. Not much happening. And then tomorrow we get a whole bunch of big stuff coming in. So it'll be interesting to see whether the price gets kicked around a lot to try and meet whatever obligations and levels. Like if you watch the videos, you notice that like price just gravitates to being really close to important levels just prior to close. So the more timeframes you have closing, the more levels there are that are all going to fight for, where that close needs to be, and that's fairly unimportant days versus lots of change can happen the next day. And this is why you're sort of seeing a bit of, although we're still sort of moving up and down, a couple of dollars up and down, this is sort of why you're seeing a bit of stability right now just in the risk assets. All the safety stuff has hit resistance at trend and it's just hanging around. So tomorrow, if it gets up over trend and breaks to the upside, then more dumpy for risk assets. Nah, no, I haven't taken any trades today. Kind of want to see what happens when New York opens. Yeah, one tweet. I actually had to help a friend go take his car to get it all sorted out and then drive him around, and so was doing a bit of stuff today. Yeah, just bouncing between trend and origins. Yeah. I mean, if I was to take trades today, it would just be some of the lower time frame stuff. It's just not convincing. It's just this kind of thing here, closing below resistance, and then really got to wait another 3 hours to see what that actually is going to do. nothing in here really looks great. Because that's just such a... Stuff like this is a really shitty place to close a candle. So you get a range level on the weekly. Got a... probably, is that an origin? Yeah. So you got an origin on the weekly. The trend just stuck. And if that goes on a run from there, no matter what it does, the chances of it just returning back within the week to the same spot is really high. If it takes a dump, it's doing it from the top side of all the support. So the chances of it coming back up pretty high. So you just got to be very careful with your shorts. If it goes on a pump, comes up, does some retests or something, retracing all the way back down within the week, really, really, really high. So it's just a crappy spot for the weekly. Vodka. What do you think the DXY is going to do? I looked at it a while back and it was looking weak. So when it was, my currency was about 57 or something, and it was a good time to take the US and put it back in there, and it's going all right. Just see. Let's see. I think it lost a major trend, which it might still be working its way down from. All right. So find out where that was. Um, Here we go. Yeah, so it's looking pretty average. $85 on the DXY. Let's see. Yeah, very possible. You got a full range engulfment. We 3 months away from this closing, but got some support, about 92, that might stop it from getting to 86. I guess you'd just have to go through and find. I mean, you got that 6-month level, breaks at 89. There's another range there that it might end up climbing back inside of. 94 is definitely something it should be heading towards. What else you got? You got retests down here at 84, which it hasn't completed. 86. Looks like it's done 91s. It's done 89s. It's all really crappy up here as far as longs go. So yeah, and you got a reverse level there. What about trends? Right, so that's probably your kicker. That might hold it up. So it's going to want to come down. But first thing it's going to have to do is it's going to have to break this trend. It's probably not going to come all the way down to these levels by diving through that trend. It's just too far. Pretty unlikely. So what have we got? 4 months, 29 days, 5 months. So it might take like another 5 months for that thing to actually find its way below these levels and then reject and then come lower. Hey, how you doing? Yeah, just chilling. Wondering if they're going to go after all the shorts now that they've completed nearly all the shorts, apart from this. Maybe they'll just leave one short behind, just like they've left one long behind. Fitting. What shorts do we have left on Sol? So 1,044. 1,044 activated shorts. And 176 of them are incomplete. 50 have not hit break levels. So they're definitely still pretty good contenders. Targets, largest to smallest. And that's 94 to 35. Where it gets really interesting is that a lot of them actually end up complete just if those ones play out. So all these really, really low ones from the very beginning of the range, which might generally just be broken and left behind. Get rid of those. Okay. There's 119 that, even though break levels have been hit, if the ones that have not had break levels hit actually complete, then they cover off quite a few of the ones that have been broken. So it's quite a funny thing the way price moves around. One range often breaks and then another one just gets created to do a very similar thing, which means that two end up aiming at the same place. And so there's another way you can look at this. You can go like, did the break get touched? And then how many of those achieve target? So 1,770 had breaks hit somewhere along the lines, and 1,586 of those actually completed anyway, even though the breaks got hit. So makes you wonder about break levels, whether you should just take entries on break levels and aim for the target of the hold. Good risk to reward considering 1,586 out of well, do it the other way around. 184 didn't. So yeah, didn't reach range level. So all that stuff's going to be inside that new dashboard. So things like, you know, this range, what is this, DXY? This range gets created. You'd know that it's hit that side, but hasn't hit this side yet. So therefore, it's, you know, working its way down. So you'd be able to have a bias based on the 6 months. Except I don't think the DXY is going to be loaded into it, but see. Once it gets opened up, there'll be sort of a vote as to probably top 10 assets or tokens or whatever that people want to have loaded in there. At the moment, it's all just basically BTC and Sol, but anything else could just be loaded into the database and then it will just keep updating it. I was thinking about just actually loading totals, particularly if you just take something like this. And then, of course, you just, when the total says it's going down, just find the shittiest asset that there is and short it until the total says it's hit its target and then close your short. pretty pretty easy, really. The only catch with that is you wouldn't know exact dollar levels, but you don't need them. No, I don't know. I mean, the servers and everything, I don't know if they're that expensive. Um, to be honest, I haven't actually looked at my credit card, which everything's getting charged to. I think it's about $300 or $400 a month I'm paying for virtual private servers and various other bits and pieces that it's all getting built on. And yeah, that's about all I know. Blue's doing a whole bunch of stuff. He's actually going through and he's taking some of that. If I get this right, PNR stuff, which I don't really have anything to do with, but he's going through and he's actually refining it all the perfect settings for different assets. And so there'll be a version of that which you can just get, choose the asset, boom, and then it yeah, the way he's refined it is so much better than the bulk standard version. Like there's basically been one false flag, one false buy sell flag, which he just can't he just can't fix it. But which I think has done his head in. But but outside of that, instead of having 50 false flags, getting it down to one is pretty amazing. So he's been doing a lot of work with that. And yeah, I don't really know. I haven't actually spent much time on that side of it. I'm just the person who sends spreadsheets to them and goes, you need this to filter this and do this, and then magically it all happens. Right. Well, I think they might go after some shorts. Um, but I don't think I'm gonna take any trades. I'm gonna sit on the couch and watch movies and continue to drink refreshments. It's not convincing. A large part of me says it's time to open along, and then I look at this and I say the entire market cap 6 month wants to come down and do a retest of the break level, and we haven't done that yet. So no, I don't think I'll do anything. Wait and see. All right. Thanks for stopping in. Well, hopefully someone got something out of it. Catch you again. Yes. Cheers. Right. See you. Bye bye.